It's completely normal to have fights when you are in a relationship, and nowadays it's very normal to seek help when chronic relational issues emerge. But did you know that nearly half of couples who seek relationship counseling end up separating anyway? Why is that? Relationship counseling isn't always the magic fix. So to increase your chances of staying together when addressing these chronic issues in a therapy setting, today we'll explore 7 brutally honest truths about relationship counseling and relationships in general that therapists wish every couple knew before taking the plunge into therapy. Brutal truth number 1. Therapists aren't referees, people, and therapy isn't a soccer pitch. We are not here to tell clients who should be on the bench or on the field, or who has deserved a red card and should be expelled from the pitch. Red card on that communication cue, you're condemned to 10 years of dishwashing. We are here in this therapy space to nurture mutual listening and seeing of one another, to model a satisfying and respectful relationship that you can take home with you. There is no winning here. The most common reason couples come in is because they have communication troubles. And that means something different for everybody. But it pretty much boils down to one common theme. People need to be heard. That's why we're here. So take off your football jersey and begin seeing yourself on the same team. Brutal truth number 2. It is not our job to change either partner. It's not the therapist's job to change either partner. Obviously, clients can learn how to be better communicators and be healthy and supportive partners. And that's a skill each and every one of you can learn. And we're here to help you do that. However, if you are persistently clashing over differences in personalities and goals and values and even belief systems, we can't change them. So we partner with clients on working out which, out of all those beliefs and goals and traits and desires, are the deal breakers, and what you can, on the other hand, work through together and compromise on. Sometimes one person may initially appear as the source of most of a relationship's problem. You might think my partner is to blame, but most of the time there is not one problem person in a couple. It's how both people clash or come together. No relational problem stands in isolation of any of the parties involved in the conflict. For instance, sometimes I see couples where one person has obviously already checked out and is ready to end the relationship. Sometimes one person is combative and uncooperative. And sometimes, yes, I see abusive situations. In this way, couples therapy can be a gateway to individual therapy for the person that needs it most. Like maybe they have issues with anger or self-esteem, jealousy, substance abuse, or oftentimes unresolved childhood pain. But otherwise, couples in crisis are most often about a crisis of mutual understanding, not much more than that. If you come to see me, you should be prepared to talk about how you are contributing to the relationship's problems. Are you being too nice or avoiding saying no or stop where no and stop is really needed? Are you rather strongly identified with the victim mindset, me, poor me kind of thing? These are just as active a contribution to a relational problem as being aggressive, having a drinking problem, or cheating for that matter. The prospect of facing yourself, your negative behavior, is scary. I know. We therapists know. Take courage and do it. Brutal truth number 3. We see people who have fallen out of love all the time. And it's actually not always a deal breaker. Love isn't just a feeling, but it's also a choice you continue to make. Every relationship is going to have conflict. That's normal. Nowadays, we even expect breakups to happen from time to time in a long-term relationship. Therefore, just to add to the drama, we see partners fall back in love all the time too. We therapists think overall that too many people wait too long before going to therapy, and we really wish this wouldn't be the case. Here is what a customer told me recently. When I broke up with my partner, I didn't know if I was going to make it. I was crying half of the day for 2 weeks straight with no end in sight. It was painful for me to hear these words. And this client wouldn't have been the first one to kill themselves after a breakup. Now, if your leg were broken, you wouldn't walk around on it for a week wondering if you're going to make it before going to the doctor, wouldn't you? So why would you wait until your relationship is nearly over or over before getting help? Now, a lot of people will think, okay, well, if things are bad enough to go to therapy, then maybe we should just break up. And that's a general misunderstanding about what a problem is in a couple in general. Needing a little bit of help, professional help, is nothing to be embarrassed about. It's like putting oil on a car engine to keep it running smoothly, except unlike cars, good relational dynamics never run out of fission and never get too much mileage. A therapy session is a place made for both partners to check the reality of the foundations onto which each partner wants to build their dreams. If you happen to deal with that conflict, that crucial conflict, with the help of an expert, you're going to learn things about your nature you never thought about and get validated in a measure you should find very useful. So don't be afraid to reach out for these resources as soon as a problem starts popping up regularly and without resolution. Not as a last-ditch effort when you've started to hate each other. In my practice, I offer a short free initial consultation for this very reason, so that you can have a chance to check in quickly with me and see what might be needed in the long term and the short term. Brutal truth number 4. Just going to therapy won't magically fix your problems. You really have to participate. You really have to jump in and participate. Unless you check in your ego at the door, come in and be humble and trust the process and be willing to learn and grow as we learn about you and this important person you have in your life. Don't bother. Some clients don't make progress because they're stuck in the same thought or behavior and yet fervently refuse to participate. And although we won't say, "I can't help you, I'm sorry," in your face, we might say something like, "If we can't break this pattern, gentlemen, I don't think I'm the right therapist for you." Or, "I don't think this is the right time to have couple therapy, honestly." Also, we don't answer clients when they ask, "Do you think we can make it?" Same goes for, "Have you seen anything like this before?" Or questions like, "Are we the worst case you've ever seen?" I think people have fun asking these questions, but the thing is, there aren't really answers to these questions. Comparing problems of our clients is like apples with oranges. Jokes apart, we also have many ways to deal with your resistances to do the work. Sometimes, we have a gut feeling that a relationship probably will not work in the end. But we are also not fortune tellers. And so much depends on what our clients are willing to put in and how much they're willing to compromise, perhaps. But truth number 4 remains. If you're not in it, this thing is going nowhere. Brutal truth number 5. You shouldn't expect fast changes. If you're working on deep-rooted patterns that have been a problem for years, perhaps since childhood, it's gonna be hard. We can have a lot of baggage, bad habits, and other circumstantial stuff to work through, which is totally human and takes time. That said, for some people, therapy doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. Sometimes all a couple needs is a few sessions with a mediator in order to feel validated and to have a safe space to talk about an issue they've been afraid to bring up and need an urgent answer with. And an answer that is not whether they should break up or not, but whether they have the courage or the resources to tackle the issue at stake. Shall we really go ahead with this pregnancy, darling? Do I see myself growing old with you? Are our families and friends supportive of our relationship? And if not, what are we deciding to do about it? Brutal truth number 6. Being a relationship therapist doesn't automatically mean we have great love lives ourselves. People always assume our relationships or marriages are perfect. But really, it just means we are better equipped to understand and deal with our problems, not that we don't have them in the first place. When I got into my own committed relationship, my supervisor warned me that the biggest mistake therapists often make is not to show up as themselves in the relationship. In other words, we end up hiding behind our therapist's face too, and then get into the same troubles as you. Our intimate choices for a partner puts us right in that vulnerable space that you're feeling. You could say it's the law of attraction. I go seeking that which will bring out the best and the worst of me just like you are. And sure game, I find my royal challenge just like you do. It's often why we have so many insights into what you are going through. Okay, if you have come this far and survived this brutal truth, then we have come to the last one for today. Brutal truth number 7. You have most likely chosen the wrong person to be with, especially if all you wanted was to be with that pretty side of her or him. As Alll de Botton says, a good partnership is not so much one between two healthy people. There are many on this planet anyway. It's one between two demented people who have had the skill or luck to find a non-threatening accommodation between their relative madness. That's worth a year of thinking about, people. The question is not if, but just where the problem lies. Perhaps you have a latent tendency to get furious when someone disagrees with you, or you can only relax when you are working, or maybe you are a bit tricky around intimacy after sex, or you have never been so good at explaining what's on your mind, or you just find it so difficult to keep track of things. It's these sort of tendencies that over time might get your partner very confused and distraught. But the problem is that knowledge of our own weirdness is not at all easy to come by, outside long-term intimate relationships, that is. So we cannot offer insights into our own selves on a silver plate to our partners when we get together. It takes that moment of conflict to bring these insights up to the surface. Prior to marriage or committed relationships, we are rarely involved in dynamics that properly hold up a mirror to our disturbances. So we seem in that flattering illusion that we are, in truth, really quite easy to live with. Friends couldn't care less about telling us this is not quite the case. And temporary relationships just don't have the time to make us see through our own self-deception. At night, all we are aware of is how sweet it would be to cuddle with someone. But really, with such a poor understanding of our characters, we are almost in no position to know who we should really be looking for. Couple that with the strong pull that parental models have on us, and you can be almost sure that you will inevitably choose the wrong person to be with. Perhaps going to a therapist is not so much about you having a relational problem with your partner, but you having come to terms with the fact that it's about time to hold a mirror up to your own self. That's really it, folks. The 7 brutal truths so many therapists would have liked to tell you, but could never do. I am your shrinking Bansko. Look after your heart. I'll see you next time.